So the first paper comes to us from the University of Lagos in Nigeria, and the title of it is Anthroponymy and Cultural Identity, the Significance of Akan and Yoruba Personal Names.
Well, good day, everyone. My name is Anuoluwapọ Adéwùnmí ADÉTỌ MÍWÁ. The title of my work is Anthroponymy and Cultural Identity, the Significance of Akan and Yoruba Personal Names. This is the presentation outline. Names are fundamental to personal and social identity, serving as cultural markers that link individuals to their heritage. These names reflect historical narratives, social hierarchies, and individual identities. According to Akan and Yoruba 2000, Anuoluwapọ 2021. Well, if names are part of identity, and people's identity is becoming more global citizens, who are we to tell them they shouldn't express this in their names? This study explores the cultural significance of personal names within Akan society in Ghana and Yoruba society in Nigeria, emphasizing their roles in identity, destiny, and telepathic power. This study investigates the impact of modernization, globalization, and Abrahamic religions on the preference for foreign names over indigenous names. In West African traditions, particularly among the Akan and Yoruba people, naming practices reflect linguistic artistry and deep philosophical meaning, connecting individuals to their ancestry and communal histories. Akan names often reflect the circumstances surrounding a child's birth, such as the day of the week, life events, or parental hopes. Yoruba names are crafted with concepts of destiny, ayanmo, and morality, reinforcing metaphysical connections to lineage and community. Both groups believe that names hold inherent power, shaping identities and destinies. Recent trends indicate a growing preference for foreign names over indigenous names, particularly those of English, Christian, and Islamic origin names. The trend of favoring foreign names over indigenous ones is attributed to the impact of Abrahamic religions, modernization, globalization, and urbanization. The allure of foreign names, often associated with modernity, has led to a decline in indigenous names. Abrahamic religions in particular have introduced alternative naming conventions. As a result, traditional Akan and Yoruba names face the risk of fading into obscurity. This study advocates for the preservation of indigenous naming practices as vital repositories of African heritage. The objectives are to understand the cultural, spiritual, and sociological significance of names in Akan and Yoruba societies, to evaluate the effect of globalization and modernization on traditional naming practices within this culture, to identify challenges in preserving indigenous naming traditions and propose strategies for restoration. This research draws data from oral interviews, questionnaires, and scholarly works. The study is framed within cultural identity theory and the belief in the influence of names on destiny. A purposive sampling method was used to select participants knowledgeable about naming practices within Akan and Yoruba communities. Questionnaires were administered to 64 participants to gather quantitative data on perceptions of the cultural significance of names, on the influence of globalization and modernization, and the challenges in preserving indigenous names. Oral interviews were conducted with 18 participants to gain deeper insight into the personal and cultural significance of names. Archival records educational registers and scholarly works were reviewed to provide historical context and support the analysis of naming practices. The data analysis involved descriptive statistics and narrative analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the research questions. Structure and meanings of Akan and Yoruba names. Akan and Yoruba names differ in that the Akan naming system includes day names, whereas the Yoruba system features place names. In both cultures, the Akan day names and Yoruba place names are genderized, serving to distinguish between males and females. Among the Yoruba, apart from the names Ojo and Aino, Ojo and Aino, which are names for male and female children born with umbilical cord brand DNX, which differentiates between genders. Most other names are unisex, with only a few being gender-specific. Similarly, in Akan culture, only a limited number of family names are gendered. Despite these differences, both Akan and Yoruba cultures share similarities in their naming traditions. Both cultures have circumstantial names, including anthroponyms and temporonyms, as well as names based on the manner of birth and death prevention beliefs. Additionally, both traditions incorporate ordinal names, and both traditions incorporate ordinal names, birth situation names, and the names inspired by flora and fauna, and the physical structure names. Among the Akan, every child is automatically assigned a name based on the day of their birth, a practice embedded in their cultural identity. These names are genderized and derived from the names of deities and their days of worship. Both male and female names are presented on this table 1. So the male child born on Sunday is named Kwasi, while the female child is called Akosua. Among the Yoruba, their names are less prevalent compared to the Akan naming. Compared to the Akan naming tradition, Yoruba children typically receive their names only if they are born on a Sunday of worship, on a day of worship, or Sunday. In such cases, they may be given names such as Ose, Abosede, or Ajose. However, male specific names for Sunday-born children have largely become obsolete. An Akan family name. An Akan family name derived from the 13 patrilineal clans, and these names are given to children by their father's parents, father, and mother. These names are traditionally associated with deities. We can see the prefix bosom in the structure of this name signifies a connection to a deity, according to Ajekun, 2006. Additional family names are presented here in Table 2, distinguishing between male and female names. Male names are Ado, Ajekun, Ajay, and so on, while female names are Adoa, Ajekunwa, Ajewa, and so on and so forth. Among the Yoruba, family names often reflect chieftaincy and social status, incorporating elements such as Ade, which means crown, Oye, chieftaincy, Aki, hero, Olu, and so on and so forth. These elements frequently appear as prefixes, infixes, or suffixes in names. Examples of prefixes are provided on this slide. Some Yoruba family names originated from deities such as Ogun, deity of iron, Ache, deity of wet, Ome, deity of water, and Orishaoko. And examples of such names include Ogunjimi, Ajewole, Omishore, Soyinka, among others. Some Yoruba family names are derived from traditional professions, such as Abede, blacksmith, Ono, artisan, Anyon, drummer, and so on and so forth. So examples of these names are Anyonwale, Olonode, and so on, Onodiran, Anyongbeye, and so on and so forth. Circumstantial names are another category of names commonly found among both the Akan and Yoruba cultures. These names are influenced by factors such as the place, manner, and time of birth, as well as any significant festivals occurring at the time of the child's birth. And anthroponyms are personal names related to the child's place of birth, while temporal names are names associated with a specific period in which a child is born. Additional circumstantial names may reflect the manner of birth, death prevention beliefs, and survival. Both cultures also have ordinal names and birth situation names. And impact of foreign names on Akan and Yoruba names. It has been observed that for many Akans and Yoruba, their traditional names are not used as their first names. The contemporary structure of their names typically includes an English, Christian, or Arabic name as the first name, an Akan or Yoruba name as the middle name, and a surname which may be Akan, Yoruba, English, or Arabic. Examples are provided in tables 5 and 6. This is table 5. So we can see Abdul Samad Tohib, which is for Muslim Akan, and Joseph Kofi Teye, Christian Akan. So as shown now, table 5 and 6, many Akan and Yoruba adopt foreign names as their first names. Additionally, it has been observed that some Muslims do not use Akan or Yoruba names as surnames, opting instead for Islamic names. This results in two Islamic names alongside one indigenous name. It is quite rare to find an Akan or Yoruba individual with 3 names that do not include a foreign name as the first. So as we can see here, we can see on table 6, we can see Abdul Fattah Oluwatosin Teriba for Yoruba Muslim, and Caleb Sunday Owade for Yoruba Christian. In table 7, example 1 illustrates a rare case of 3 entirely indigenous names. Examples 2 and 3 feature 2 indigenous names, but the absence of a third name suggests that the foreign name might have been deliberately omitted. This trend suggests an emerging effort to counter the dominance of foreign names over indigenous ones, reflecting a possible awareness of an attempt to restore balance to traditional naming practices. Reasons behind the prevalence for foreign names. When respondent 16 was asked why he prefers Gideon to his indigenous name, he responded, "I like Western names because everybody knows the meaning. If I mention my Ghanaian name, foreigners will be asking for the meaning, but nobody asks for the meaning of Gideon." Respondent 12, Abena Mainkontia. Mainkontia means do not fight against. And Abena Mainkontia adopted the name Gloria after classmates distorted her indigenous name into an unintended meaning. She said, "I prefer to be called Gloria because the short form of my indigenous name, Manko, was corrupted to Meko, Pepe. The two words are homophones, but different in meaning. But my friend chose to play on my indigenous name, Manko, by calling me Meko. That was why I changed my name to Gloria on my social media handles." Respondent 17, Anuoluwapọ, insists on using her full name to prevent offensive misinterpretations. She said the short form of her name, Anu in Anuoluwapọ, was corrupted to Anus by classmates and friends. Some claim it means goat or nasty objects in their languages. This is why she prefers to be called the full form with the correct spelling of the name Anuoluwapọ to avoid the name being corrupted. Respondent 18, a 65-year-old woman uses an English name, Eunice, to conceal her true identity. She believes indigenous names hold power and could be used for harm. She believes revealing one's real name could expose one to harm, as there are powers in names. According to her, if enemies know one's real name, they could use it to cause harm. So, descriptive analysis, data analysis. The survey results indicates a higher representation of female respondents compared to male respondents. And in terms of ethnic background, we can see the distribution is as follows: Akan 28.1%, Yoruba 31.3%, and other ethnic groups collectively making up the largest share at 40.6%. The majority of respondents perceive personal name as very important in their respective cultures, while 15.6% consider them important and only 3.1% remain neutral on the subjects. Analysis of narratives shared by respondents. The examples given by respondents collectively support the belief that names are more than just identifiers. They encapsulate personal and cultural narratives, shape experiences, and sometimes even foreshadow life's journey. Whether bringing joy, enduring hardship, or embodying resilience, the names given to individuals play a significant role in defining their paths and connecting them to their cultural heritage. Linguistic analysis of Akan and Yoruba names. Phonologically, Akan Day names are typically disyllabic and follow a consonant-vowel structure, CV structure, while Yoruba place names are generally trisyllabic, also adhering to the CV pattern. Beyond these distinctions, most Akan and Yoruba names are polysyllabic and do not contain consonant clusters, as their syllable structures primarily consist of CV, V, or nasal consonants. Yoruba names exhibit distinct phonological characteristics due to the tonal nature of the language. Since tonal variations can significantly alter the meaning of a word, Yoruba names often include tonal marks to preserve their intended meanings. The phonological complexity of these names, particularly in tonal languages like Yoruba, emphasizes the importance of accurate pronunciation to maintain their original significance. So, strategies for preserving indigenous names. Preserving indigenous naming practices requires educational, policy-driving, and community-based initiatives. Schools should integrate the cultural significance of names into curricula, fostering appreciation and cultural pride. Workshops and storytelling sessions can strengthen personal and communal connections to traditional names. And community events such as naming ceremonies and cultural festivals further promotes awareness and intergenerational knowledge transmission. Policy measures should mandate the recognition of indigenous names in official documents. And in conclusion, ultimately, preserving indigenous names is not merely about maintaining linguistic diversity, but safeguarding the very essence of cultural identity, ensuring legacies are honored and respected, and connections to ancestry remain strong amid the pressures of modern life. By understanding the cultural, personal, and societal dimensions of names, we can develop effective strategies to safeguard this vital component of cultural heritage. This study calls for concerted effort from researchers, educators, policymakers, and community leaders to protect and promote the rich linguistic and cultural heritage embodied in indigenous names. Thanks for listening.
And thank you for your presentation. If I may start out with a couple of questions. One thing that struck me was, I believe it was the Yoruba family names slide. It seemed that many of the names made actual statements, not just a name had a 1 or 2 word meaning, but the combination of names made an actual statement about the person whose name it was. Can you comment on that? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, yes. Most of Yoruba names are sentences. So you can, for example, my name, Anuoluwapọ, is a full sentence. And the 2 other names are Adéwùnmí ADÉTỌ MÍWÁ. So when it's only praise names that have 2 syllables, apart from praise names, other Yoruba names are sentences.
Thank you. Do we have other questions? I don't want to take away from anybody else's questions.
I come close to the cultures that she's talking about. I'm also Akan, but from the Ivory Coast. So the prevalence of these foreign names has a lot of justification. You have the colonial legacy. It was imposed upon children that went to school during colonial time or went to church. And then you have, for some reason today, you have for purposes of inter-ethnic communication, meaning children from different ethnic backgrounds finding themselves in the same area, it's easier for them to communicate with the common language, that is French or English, than with the names from their different dialects. And then there is also a need for universality. She kind of touched on that. Wherever you go, I've been around the world. I'm in Chicago now. It's easier to say my name is Michelle than to say my name is Kwasi. A lot of people have a hard time pronouncing it. And then you have the religious legacy. When you become Muslim, you are more Muslim if your name is Arab. And when you become Christian, typically during the ceremony, they will give you a Christian name. That is typically a European name. So considering these different justifications, the different origins of that foreign name, how do you think we can really fix this problem? As long as the root causes remain, because history, colonialism is a legacy. Can we erase that? Can we erase religion? Can we erase that need for universality these days? I wish we could fix it. But how do you think we can fix it with all of these root causes still prevalent?
Thank you for the question. Thank you so much. I don't think we can eradicate Christianity or Islamic religion. I don't think we can do so. I don't think we can eradicate English names in our societies. But what we can only do is to keep our indigenous name along with the English names or Arabic names. because we can see in our societies today that most people don't want to bear indigenous names. That's the challenges today. So they don't want to. When you ask, when I got to Ghana, most of my colleagues, when I ask them what is your name, when I ask them, they will tell me that oh, my name is Gloria, my name is Betty, I'm Gideon. I said, oh, don't you have indigenous name? So what I want then, I think my opinion is that when you want to be called an English name, you want to use the English name because it's exposed, everybody knows the meaning. Use your indigenous name with it. Don't abandon your indigenous name. That is how we can promote or build our indigenous names. I'm not saying they should abandon the English names, but they should try to push the indigenous name with the English name. Let them go side by side. They shouldn't abandon the indigenous name. So I think that is how we can promote our indigenous names.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
So you are calling for addition, not for substitution.
No. I'm
Because
calling
among Akan, the last name remained largely Akan. Only the first name is English. And you are calling for an addition.
Yes, what I found out among Akan is that their indigenous name, they bear it at all. Once they step out of their home, they drop the indigenous name. When you have them outside, what is your name? They give you English name or Arabic name. That is one thing I observe from them. And this is a similar case in Yoruba, among Yoruba people. We are experiencing the same.
If I can explain another part of the reason why, particularly among Akan, the British name seems to prevail, as you saw. And you stated that the day names are systematically assigned among Akan. As a result, in a village, maybe 1/7 of the people are called Kwasi, and then 1/7 of the men are called Kwaku. And so they are so repeated that the Western names serve as an element of differentiation. Yeah.
Thank you both. I think we need to move on to the next speaker, but thank you so much for your presentation.